Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Thursday. Are you ready for a little TLC? Welcome to Travel and Lifestyle Conversation. I am your host, Tamika Jones. And you know what I say? You are in for a treat today. But, definitely today, you're going to walk away with some treats. Again, I'm your host, Tamika Jones, and I am so excited to bring in my special guest. Her name is Marla Renee Stewart. She is amazing, you all. She's a sexologist, speaker, author, and sexual strategist. As a phenomenal sex expert who has studied human sexuality for 20 plus years, she's educated more than 3,000 people, and she's going to be educating us tonight. And she's given more than 500 workshops, written hundreds of articles, and featured in more than 30 major publications. So it's safe to say that our girl Marla knows what she's talking about when it comes to sex. Okay. So without further ado, I am going to bring in the woman of the hour. Let's add her to the stream. Marla.
Hi.
Hey. Baby. Too soon. I just had to do it.
Never too soon.
Hey, Marla.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be talking to you about sex and travel and all the fun things that I love talking about. So,
I mean,
ready.
they just go, seem like they go, yes. Let's pop some champagne, drink some wine,
Okay, good. I'm going to open it now. I've been waiting.
I am. Okay. Like, you know what, I probably should have had my girls, Marvina send me a bottle of her Stuyvesant. Shout out to Stuyvesant Champagne.
Ooh,
Yes, but in the meantime, I'll drink some wine. And when you pop that bottle, we're gonna celebrate sex and travel. Marla, while you preparing to open that bottle, tell everybody about yourself.
Yes, well, I am a sexologist and sexual strategist. I run my company, Velvet Lips, which is a sexuality education company that helps people around seduction, communication, and sex skills. And I specialize in a bunch of different things, but I'm happy that you brought me on, especially around travel, because I love traveling and I love having sex while traveling and I love getting other people to have sex while traveling.
Okay, I'm gonna have to drink.
I have some pretty good stories, but what I do, is really just helping individuals as well as folks in relationships to get on the right page, enhance their sex skills, do the things that they need to do to become better lovers, not only for themselves, but, for the people in their lives. So
did you say for themselves? For themselves?
For themselves, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna dive into that too, I guess. I love it. Oh my God, you guys. Again, Marla Renee Stewart. Yes, pop champagne. Hey. I love it. Okay, so everyone, feel free to comment, ask questions. Marla is here, so what you want to know, she will more than likely be willing to share. She doesn't come off to me as a person who's gonna hold back. Are you, Marla?
No, not
okay.
I'm an open book.
Here we go. Me and these headsets, ear pods, but that's okay. It's not going to stop the conversation here. Oh, so we already got questions coming in. Marla, we got questions coming in. And the first question here is, what is a sexologist? Actually, that's a good question. What is a sexologist?
So a sexologist is a person who does research on sex and sexuality. So I originally started off doing research back as actually an undergrad when I was studying human sexuality then. But so it's a sexologist is studying sex and sort of relaying that information out to the public. So I think what's great about sexologists, it's really about not only the study of sex and the research, but the relaying of that information and how that information can really help us to have better sexual relationships and better relationships in general.
You know what? I just noticed something, Marla.
What?
We understood the assignment. The lips, the red.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. So great information. Great information. So next question, or we're gonna just move on. I have some questions for Marlo as everyone else's questions and comments start to trickle in. How did you decide that you wanted to study sex and kind of educate others?
It was really organic for me to think about this. So, well, I think part of it is that my mom was very much a sex positive influence in my life. Like she
Mm,
was the one who really taught me about sexual responsibility. And then as I got into college and started studying human sexuality, I was learning all sorts of things. So guess what? When Marla learned something, everybody else is going to learn that thing too. So that's what was happening in my, at school. So people would ask me questions, be like, Marla, can you help me with this? Marla, can you help me with that? And I would have great answers for them. So I was like, this needs to be my job, right? Like this needs to be the thing that I need to do for people, relay information that I learn, help them with their sex life, and really show them how sex is connected to our lives, right? In
mhm,
general, like
mhm.
it's connected to everything that we do. So it
We
was
wouldn't be
really
here without it.
right. And so it was really super, super important for me to do that. So it was very much an organic process. So then when I went to graduate school, I was studying again gender and sexuality. So I was, doing the same thing and making it happen. So yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, and then started
And
my
here you
company.
are.
Here I am.
And here you are, and on the TLC show.
Yes.
Marla, so in what ways have you helped people really embrace sexual energy and be comfortable?
Mm. One of the ways that I really help people embrace their sexual energy is really by helping them build up their sexual confidence. I think a
Mm,
lot of times, if we're not taught to be confident, or we have all these socialization messages from everywhere telling us that we're not beautiful, or we're not this, or we need to do this or do that or do this, I think that can really damper people's self-esteem. So for me, it's really important to say like, hey, what are our sexual assets? What are the things that make us feel good? And if we don't know those things, I'm sure your friend knows them, your lovers know them, like people know them around you. Like, what are the great things about you that make you attractive, that make you want to be with them? So it's important for me for people to understand what their power is and to use that power in a good way. Because I teach seduction, so a lot of times people are like, well, can it be used in a bad way? Absolutely. Just like anything
mm,
can be used in a bad way,
mm.
doesn't necessarily make it all bad. You have to use it in a good way. You have to use it in
Right.
an ethical way. Um, so yeah, that's yeah.
Well, Marla, cheers to power,
Cheers.
and bad things that can be good.
Yes.
Okay, everyone. We have Marla Renee Stewart here. She's our sexologist for the evening. Where are your comments? Where are your questions? Bring them on in. Don't be shy. I've been saying that all week. Don't be shy. She's here to help us all out. So now
Hmm.
we're going to talk about the topic of the hour, Marla: sex and travel. Sex and travel. First thing first, why is intimacy so important for couples? Sex in
Well,
general.
yeah, I mean, well, intimacy and sex are two separate things, but
Right.
why they're so important, number one, is because it helps us to feel connected. When we are intimate with someone, that means we are being vulnerable with ourselves. That means we are really taking the time to let someone in, really taking the time to communicate what our needs, our wants, our desires are. And then the intimacy piece, like, I always tell people like affection is so great, right?
Mhm.
Affection, if babies don't
You
get
think
enough
it's
affection,
necessary? Do you think
oh,
it's necessary?
absolutely, right?
Okay. Mhm.
Affection is life and death. If
Mm,
babies don't get enough affection, they die.
mm, mm.
They need touch. And so it's so imperative that we still understand that, and we know that we need touch as human beings. We need connection. It doesn't matter if the touch is platonic or a hand to hand or a foot to foot, but touch is important. And that's part of the intimacy, right? We're letting someone in to our bubble, right? Here in the US, we have the arm's length bubble, right?
Right.
So letting
That's for
someone
sure.
into that bubble is intimate.
Mm.
And then letting them touch you is even more intimate. So, but sex is important in a bunch of different ways. Sex is healthy. And I think a lot of times people need to understand that sex is healthy. So, I recommend, having the sex that you want to have, but, whatever you and your lover or lovers agree on, that is what you need to do. Because it's powerful. We release oxytocin, we
Hmm.
release dopamine, serotonin, we have endorphins in there. We need these hormones to make us feel good.
Mm.
It's like when people walk into work the next day after they've had sex, there's a little more pep in their step, right? They're like, yes. And like, oh, you must have got laid today or you had a good time. Like, yeah, because you're flooding with those hormones. You're reflecting on that time. You're thinking back, and that even reflection on good times will help produce some of those hormones. So, absolutely, intimacy in sex is important, not only for hormones and for health wise, scientifically,
Hmm.
but it also helps us with our connection overall to people.
Yes. Um, I know people, they shy. Why are they being shy? Maybe they're trying to warm up. Maybe they need another sip like we do. Um, so leave a comment, ask a question. I know you guys have some questions out there, but moving on. Marla, how can couples create this sexual energy while they're traveling?
So one thing they need to do is leave the work, the stressors behind, right? So when
Hmm.
you're traveling, you really need to make it purposeful, right? So sort of
Hmm.
like quality time, right? You got to make it purposeful. What are the things that you're doing? What are the stressors that you're leaving behind? Leave your laptop, leave your work behind. Um, Eliminate those things that are going to get in the way, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes children get in the way. Now, if it's a family vacation, great. But maybe you have a relative or someone to come with you to say, take the kids away for a
Hmm.
moment or somewhere so we can be by ourselves, have this time to us and really dedicate that time. And yes, it's planned, but at least you get that quality time and you know what's going to go down. And sometimes that anticipation alone can be exciting, right? You're like, ooh, we're getting ready to have sex. How fun. What am I going to do? What am I, what's the next thing, Um, so that's exciting in and of itself. But you can really make it sexy by the accoutrement that you bring, right? There's
Ooh,
maybe the toys or
that's sexy.
it is, going to a sexy place or a sexy destination. I'm a huge fan of like erotic museums or sex museums, going to festivals that are really sexy. There's different sort of events and things that I personally like to go to because they fascinate me, they titillate me, and it's like, I want to be a part of this action. So,
Mm.
um but yeah, you foster that really around the stressors, I would say. Absolutely.
You know what? And you just answered the question, but maybe there's something a little bit more. So there are questions coming in, Marla, and
Mhm.
this is from Benjamin. He says, how do you combine sex and travel? And I know you just talked about festivals and museums, but I just wanted to ask a question because I feel like it's relevant. Like, how do you combine the two?
Well, I mean, with sex and travel, it's it, there's so many different pieces, right? So I think I wrote an article around like traveling with your sex toys, right? What are the things you need to do? Number one, make sure they're on top of your luggage, right, or in pockets that. I just came from Frolicon in Atlanta, and I was like, I have like a 11-inch stainless steel dildo, right? And it's heavy. And of course, all the dildos, whenever you go through, TSA, they're going to check it. So putting it somewhere convenient, right? Or even just thinking about what kind of sexy places you're traveling to. Hedonism, right? Like sex destinations, desire resorts, like different kinds of sexual resorts, or even adult, adult only resorts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty fun. Thinking about, and also just thinking about what you're going to do,
Yeah.
like make a plan. I think it's always sexy to just sort of have a plan. Maybe that's my type A, but just having a plan to be like, this is what I'm going to do, for sex, or this is what I plan to do, or it's about to go down. And just trying to, make it happen.
So I love that, as you were talking about the destinations, and you posted a question. I want to put this out to everybody. What travel destination is the sexiest for you? I love that question. Marla, what's the sexiest for you?
The sexiest for me is, I love island weather, right? Like I like warm. I like to be naked and just like free, and hot, sweaty climates are nice. I like the wetness, right, of it. And I think so that's personally for me. It's all dependent on what is your ideal type of weather. Are you a snuggle up person? Maybe you want to be in the mountains in the cold, right? In a cabin and snuggle up underneath the covers, right? Like maybe that is intimate and sexy and sexiest for you. Or like I like fun, sexy places. Like Amsterdam, I think, is a really fun and sexy place.
I wonder why.
Yeah. The tropical destinations always come to mind for me. But I think it's sort of whatever is your thing, whatever you like to do when you go travel. Like, yeah.
I have to say, I can agree with you. I'm one who loves island weather as well. I love tropical destinations. And I would say one of the places I've been to, I felt like that was the sexiest. And it was Turks and Caicos. I have to say, Turks and Caicos. Yes, hands down. And there are many, many, many more places to visit, of course. But that, to me, when you posed this question on social media, I was like, Turks and Caicos. Okay, so we have more questions. So do you have any suggested destinations to help married couples reconnect? That's a good question.
Yes. I'm actually currently working on a program right now to help couples and folks in relationships sort of reconnect, get their sex life back on track. I mean, sure, there's lots of retreats and things out there, but you need a plan. So in order to reconnect means that both of y'all had talked about what you need to connect about, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we need to get our sex life back on track. Or like, I really want to try something new. Maybe if we go to a different destination or somewhere else, that we can figure something out. Or maybe there's a sex toy store, in this at this travel spot, and let's go in it and check it out. But it really requires you to put the effort in ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So, but suggested destinations, I think, fun marriage retreats that are centered, I think, around sex and sexuality. Because sometimes I think marriage retreats can center around communication, which is great. Communication is great, but sometimes people just need to enhance their sex skills. I know plenty of folks who have been married for a long time and been like, I had a friend who brought in her husband to one of my workshops and was like, we've been together 10 years and he still doesn't know how to go down on me. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll try, but it's been 10 years, which means you've probably been faking it, which means you got to backtrack a lot here. You know what I mean? So, I think that you have to be open to learning and finding something that is sexuality centered. So make sure you just sign up for my email list, and I'll let you know when one's coming, because I definitely want to do one here in Florida for sure.
Well, let me know so I can add that information into the fonts, one of the banners below. But you know what? I don't want my single people to run out of here. So we got to show love to our singles out there. Hey, love you.
Absolutely.
And then I tend to get some co-hosts, and I think I'm gonna have a couple co-hosts today. Benjamin has another question, and Shaquila has some more questions too. This is great. I love having co-hosts. Benjamin says, if you are single and traveling alone, what suggestions do you have?
So single and traveling alone is fun for me. I don't know about you, Tamika, but I enjoyed when I was traveling and single. I had a blast, So one of my first suggestions is understanding how people connect in whatever area that is, right? So what kind of places do you need to go to that are open, or kind of, single place destinations? There's also, like single cruise lines, things like that you can do as well. But if you're single and traveling alone, number one, enjoy your time. I would say number one, that enjoy your time. Flirt as much as you can. Don't worry about being, rejected by anybody, because guess what? You can move on to the next. I know sometimes people have hangups around like, oh, they rejected me, I'm not going to do anything else. No, forget that. You want to be able to, flirt, have fun. I have a quiz where I tell people to take my quiz. And it's really centered around their seduction learning style. So once you know a little bit on how to connect with someone, it's a little bit easier. You know what I mean? So for instance, I had this client who went up to this woman, saw that she was reading a book that he really liked. So he went up to her and made conversation with her. Well, he was like, oh, I really like this book, tell me, and she just went off, right? She was like, oh, me too. She starts talking about the book. Well, he went to interrupt her. Lo and behold, he interrupted her and started talking. And so then she got bored and was like, all right, you can leave now. So he didn't recognize that how to connect with her, right? And so that's one thing I teach is like, hey, you need to learn how to connect with people on their level. What is it? Visual? Is it auditory? Is it physical? What are the things that you need to do, or how you need to approach someone is going to be important on how you make your next steps, and how they're interested back at you. You know what I mean? So that connection is powerful. And I can maybe you can, oh wait, I can put it, I don't know if I can put it should I put it in the chat in YouTube or
what,
the quiz?
Yeah, put it in maybe the private chat area. Okay. And I should be able to pull it from there and share with everyone.
Okay.
And also when you add that, here's the question that came in from Felicia. She says, do you create eat, love, pray experiences? If so, where do we sign up?
Absolutely. I create, I'm planning on, so this is a new venture for me. I've just been taking one-on-one clients. I haven't done the retreat yet. So for me, I definitely want to do a eat, love, pray experience. I'm a very spiritual person, but it is centered around sex and sexuality. So that part is going to be good. But I'm currently doing like a manifest a mate program. So I'm putting that all together, making that happen, and making that into a course so people can sign up, and then also making it into a retreat so people can go and really understand what they need to do to find the people that they want in their lives, or the kind of lover that they want.
That's awesome. Well, before I forget, and I'll add again, here is the quiz where everybody can find the quiz. velvetlipssexed.com//quiz. So that's where you can get all the goods that Marla is providing. The questions are rolling in, Marla. Oh, yes, the comments. Okay, so we're gonna go back a little bit to shine some light on the couples. A good question that came from my other co-host, Shakila. She says spontaneous sex versus planned sex is a debate my husband and I always talk about. Gotta weigh in on this. That's interesting. Good question.
So my first advice, so here's the thing. A lot of us want spontaneous sex. A lot of us prefer planned sex. Whatever your preference is, most likely you're probably in a relationship with one or the other. Most of the time, people are in a relationship with one person who likes planned sex and one person who likes spontaneous sex, right? If you're in a couple. And so with spontaneous sex, I say the planner, plan the spontaneous sex. That is the best way, I believe, to go about being spontaneous, right? So if you're like, ooh, I think it'll be great. We have time Friday night. What I'm going to do is step A, B, and C, and they're never going to see it coming, right? And that for them can feel really good because spontaneous, right? They'll be like, what's gotten into you? But you're like, I've been planning this for a week or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think it's really important to for the planner to plan the spontaneous sex. And I think, it's all good. Both of them are very fulfilling, but some of us need more emotional prep, more emotional and mental prep. And especially cisgender women need emotional and mental prep. Especially for ones who do not have necessarily super high libidos. Testosterone runs libido, mind you. So we need to be aware. Like, so I have a high libido, but that's because I love sex. I talk about sex 24/7. Like, it's always on my brain, right? So for me, whether it's planned or spontaneous, I'm gonna love it either way.
Hey.
So I don't have a preference. But if my lover really enjoys spontaneous sex, then I need to plan that spontaneous sex for them, because then that makes them feel good and wanted and whatnot. So
absolutely. All this, yes, good advice. That's great advice. It's all greatness, Marla. So I have another question. Taking it back to sex and travel. And there are a lot of couples here, a lot of couples, who have kids, and they go on vacation with you sometime. You got to go on trips.
right.
Any ideas on how they can create that romance even when the kids are around?
Absolutely. So a lot of it has to do with small things, right? Affection. So a lot of times when people get in and have kids, they drop the affection for their lovers, their partners, and that is a thing that you need to keep up. So the kisses, the hugs, the holding hands, the holding tight, the booty grabs, the foot massages, those are the things that you need to continuously cultivate. I always tell my couples, always kiss when you come into the door, kiss before you leave, right? Kiss when you're passing by each other, grab a booty, grab a titty, whatever it is, like, hug, like, I gave my wife a little bell, and it's sort of like ding ding, you know what I mean? When you need a kiss or you need a hug, right? So it tells them, I need something from you right now. So doing those things are really, really helpful while you have kids, because they're very, they show the kids that, number one, affection is important, that you love each other, that you're into each other. So that's the first part. Now, when you have kids and you're on vacation and you're like, wait, what do I do? That's the time when you need to plan. What time are these kids going to bed? Is it 7 o'clock? Is it 8 o'clock? I mean, I don't know. Or are you bringing the relatives, right? And relatives with you, then those relatives, you can say like, hey, I need you to take the kids on this day so we can have a whole day. Or can you take them for an hour or two so we can just have a moment to connect with one another? We need this right now for vacation. So it's really just super important that you have that time to do that. So whether it's early in the morning before the kids get up, or late at night when the kids go to sleep, make sure you're taking the time to connect. I suggest the morning, because the morning you start off early, your day is great, you know. But so by the
Yes.
time the nighttime comes, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do anything. You know, which a lot of us, you know, we run through
Right.
the day and the nighttime is a done deal. But it's all about preference too. So
Right.
whatever your preference is, if you're a morning person or a night person, it's all up to you.
Yeah. Janelle says, grab a booty. LOL. Love it. I like it. It makes sense.
Hmm.
It totally makes sense. Okay, so back to all my singles out there.
Hmm.
I think this is in my opinion, a good question. Do you recommend singles use dating apps when they're traveling abroad?
Yeah, I think, you know, I definitely suggest like connecting on some way, shape, or form. I'm an in-person person. I'm an extrovert, so I'm always going to be out and about,
Mhm,
probably at a bar or some kind of
mhm,
social situation. But I think apps are really good. Just meet in public places. Like, I wouldn't
mhm.
suggest like going to their house, or
Right.
meeting somewhere, you know, small and private. Public place, seeing they are who they say they are. Um, those are really important in keeping yourself safe, especially while traveling, because people prey, especially on Americans. People prey on Americans, and I think it's super important that you just take the proper safety precautions while you're out, especially if you're single and traveling alone. Um, so meeting in public, also letting someone know where you are and what you're doing. So whether
Okay.
that's a friend, you're texting, or you know, you're what on WhatsApp, and you're like, hey, I'm at this place. This is where I'm going to be. I need to text you in an hour, or text me in an hour. Make sure I'm okay, or I'm still in the right place. So making sure someone is keeping tabs of you and they know where you are at all times is also super important when you're traveling alone.
That's good advice. Good advice. Definitely making sure that you're meeting in a public place for sure, and letting somebody know who you're meeting with and where you're going. Great advice. I'm gonna go back to the question we put out there, Marla, to everybody. What travel destination is the sexiest for you? I don't think I got any locations. I'm looking through the comments and nobody has shared yet. So I'm gonna put this question back out here. What travel destination is the sexiest for you? Let us know. So, moving right along, this is some good information, Marla. Okay, so now we need some expert advice, even more expert advice, I should say. As you were talking about Velvet Lips, tell us more about the company and how you help singles and couples.
So with singles, I help them really. Most of the time, singles are coming to me to manifest their mate, who they want to be with. I have I had to come up with a plan, because it's actually the plan that I worked with my therapist, because I was taking in homosexuals. I was, you know, paying people's ways. People were slowly moving into my place. You know, like I was a mess, right? Like I was just like, oh, I was loving and I was caring, and I was like these jobless, homeless people, you know, and I was just like, I am through with this. So I really had to dig down deep, and I made a plan for myself. And with that plan, I learned sort of what I need to do to reel in my emotional
Mhm.
piece, right? The healer in me. And also reel in the logic of like, this shit is not what I want, or this stuff is not what I want. I don't know if
Oh
you
no,
kind of
you're fine. We talking
okay.
about sex and dildos, so we can say shit.
So, you know, it was really something that I did. So what I'm trying to do is show people, hey, this is the way that I manifested the love of my life.
Mm,
This is how you can possibly do that too. But I really learned a lot in all the different relationships that I've been in. And it took me until my late 30s to realize like, this is the path. I went through, like I said, a lot of homosexuals, a lot of relationships, a lot of, people that weren't good for me. I was good for them, but they were not good for me. And I think that's a thing too. So yeah, that is what, so for my singles, that is what I teach, sort of how to understand your core values, your sexual values, what that means to you, and really how to balance the emotion and the logic. And then for my folks in relationships, because I know I not only help couples, but folks who are non-monogamous as well. So folks who are in polyamorous relationships, I help them get on the same page around communication, sort of boundaries, making sure that everybody is on the same page. So, and mostly with my couples or my folks in relationships, they just want to have better sex lives. So like, what can we do? How can we improve? And so I've been helping them improve their sex life.
So for those people who don't know what polyamorous is, can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So polyamorous is a relationship style where you have more than one love or lover. Now, some relationships can be platonic, but most of the time they are sexual in nature. So it's kind of like you could have two partners or a primary partner and a secondary partner, or and there's different relationship, what we call constellations. So you could be in a V, you could be in a W, you could be whatever your preference is. But poly just meaning many, and of course amor meaning love. So it's a mini love situation, and it's for the most part supposed to be ethical. So that everybody is communicating, that it's not cheating, that you are communicating and making sure that everybody knows what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. More questions coming in. Well, here we go. One of my co-hosts, Shakila, her question is, what's trending now with sex toys?
Oh gosh.
I guess something that could be good to take on a trip.
Yeah. So what's trending now, especially with sex toys, is the travel lock.
What?
So having a travel lock on your sex toy, meaning that it won't go off and the suitcase won't die, won't die during your trip or however long your trip is. So having a travel lock, I think, is one of the most important pieces of when you're traveling. I think also with sex toys, there's always a new trend of what toy is best. I know right now, I think there was a trend of the rose that everybody was talking about.
I heard about this. Tell us more.
Well, I'm not a sex toy expert. I don't claim to be a sex toy expert, but I do know.
So you don't have a rose?
I do not. I've been meaning to get one, but I haven't. I don't have one. I'm kind of sad about it. Never mind me. But I personally like the air suction vibrators, the air pulse. So like the womanizers, the satisfiers, those kind of sex toys are pretty popular now, because before it was just sort of the magic wand, right, which is like bzz, and it was for what I call the clip mashers, right? You just like, yeah, put it on your go in. But then there's also the air pulse, which is more of a suction. So it's more of for me, feeling more like a mouth and being able to do the suction aspect. So yeah, so for sex toys, I would say right now it's the dual. So finding a toy that has the clitoral action you need. So whether that's vibrating or suctioning, and having the your spot, right, or G spot, having that vibrate as well. So being able to
wait, you tell me there are toys for this?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. But I'm trying to get the suction. What?
Yeah.
What?
So, like the womanizer or the satisfier, they have the air pulse technology. Um, and it's in my bag. I don't have any on me. I'm like, where
Oh,
is
it's on
it?
your bag. You just carry it with you. Okay.
Yeah, no. I came from Frolicon. Here,
Okay,
I
okay,
actually
okay.
I
You're right.
found one. One's on my desk. Look at that. You got lucky. Like the womanizer. So the air pulse. So you put that on your clitoris, and then this one has like several different vibrations, but as it sucks. Yeah. So it sort of feels like a mouth.
I need
So
another drink.
you need another drink. So a toy with a travel lock so it doesn't go off. But this one's really cool because it senses your body. So it only turns on when your body's on it, and it turns off if your body's not on it. So very high tech uh, toy. So it's pretty cool.
Um, Shakila says we need a sex toy party.
I know people. I know people.
um, and then Felicia says, any demos? Dora confused on suction toys.
Demos. Let's see. I do. I could. So this is this toy. Let me see. Does it? I don't know if it's charged. Okay, it's charged a little great. And then I have
So
Sasha
these
here.
toys are particularly more for women, right? Huh?
Yeah. This is Sasha. Sasha. Keisha's back here, but I don't know if you can see you can't see in the on the screen.
Oh my
So
God.
suction toy, you would turn on, right, the suction toy, and then you would place on the clitoris right here, and then it sucks. Oh, it does. It feels this. Wow. So yeah.
I wasn't ready for this.
I was trying to get a black one, but they don't make them in black. I need to complain. You're
I'm hot. I'm getting hot. I'm hot.
hot. You're like, what's going on here?
I wasn't ready for this. Okay. Okay. So we got our demos.
Absolutely.
Maybe I shouldn't ask for any more questions or comments because y'all really going there tonight. Woo, y'all really going there. We got a question. Can you hold up? There we go. Toy get there.
Yeah,
There
this
we
is the
go.
womanizer.
It's called the
So
womanizer.
yeah, but there's
Okay.
plenty of different kinds of air section toys. Or air pulse toys. You just look up air pulse toys. Satisfier is another brand, but most toy brands have air pulse now.
Wow. It's interesting how these toys have advanced and yeah,
Absolutely, because back in
technology.
the day, there were dildos that sort of called the rabbit, right? So they had the bunny ears, and that was like the talk of the town in 1998. You know what I mean? And now, years later, there's so many great innovation when it comes to sex toys, especially for women and for men
Wow.
too. But
Oh, wow. Whew, okay, so Marla, I'm hot. I'm hot, but the, the comments are coming in. And you know what? Yeah. So moving right along, we've learned a lot there. This is it's great stuff
you're
though. I just
reflecting
don't
on
think
what
I
you're
was
gonna
ready
do
for it.
later.
Whew. Okay, but these are great toys that people can consider, especially and things that they can pack in their carry-on.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. That won't go off, and set it
yeah.
off.
Yeah. Whew, whew, I'm hot. Okay, so uh let's what advice do you have for women over 40 with like this high sex drive and men who are over 40 and their sex drive isn't where it used to be because there's not always a balance. How does that work?
Ooh. Well, number one is making sure that you have the toys or having the things that you want or need,
Right.
right? So sometimes, if like if cis men aren't like they don't have they're not getting up anymore. Is that what you mean? Or sometimes even if they start to curve, that is sort of a dangerous can be a danger sign, right? Peony's disease. But um, when that starts to happen, or when there's some sort of incompatibility, or not incompatibility, but there's some difference when it comes to drive, there's always options, right? So a lot of times men will be like, oh, I want to, I want to have sex, and I want to, but maybe I'm not feeling it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I need you to last a little bit longer. So, maybe you need to get a strap on for men, and maybe we need to just buy toys so you can, have sex with me for 20 plus minutes, instead of two. You know what I mean? Or I think I think sex toys are the way to sort of balance that out. But it really just depends on like what you define as sex. And I think it doesn't necessarily all
Mm-hmm.
have to be, penetration, right? It can be oral sex, it could be anal sex, it
Okay.
could be, like the foreplay, it could be all of the different things. It could be some kinky, you could do some spanking, you could do some, something a little bit different, some blindfolds. Uh, so there are.
I mean, what did I expect? We are talking about sex,
I
so.
know.
But you know what? I guess what I was really trying to get to is just that as you get older, I always say, like, when you are hit your 30s, 40s as a woman, it's like your sex drive just goes up. But as for men, the older they get, I'm not saying all women, it seems like it just goes down, where they're not as interested in sex as they were when they were in their 20s and 30s. So it's just like, how do you come together? And you're right, I mean, as you just suggested, sex toys. But if it's like he's like he's not excited in the morning, and he's not excited in the afternoon or the evening, but you excited morning, noon, and night. How do
What
you
can you
come
do?
together? Yeah.
Well, I think there's some negotiation that needs to happen, right? Like, okay, when can we have sex? I am very horny this time, this time. What do you feel comfortable with? Or, how do you feel about me taking on an additional lover? That, 'cause I really, would like my needs met.
Mm,
That's, a possibility. How do you feel about like maybe you don't have to do anything, but maybe you can use a sex toy on me. And so I can feel that we're connected somehow. So maybe you don't have to use something, but you can use something that I like on me that feels satisfying, and I can still feel connected to you. So, there's ways around. It's just a matter of like talking through it and seeing what, folks are comfortable with, but you don't want to be unsatisfied. You know what I
right.
mean? It's sort of like I think that's the hard. I have a very high libido, and sometimes I think it's very hard for people to understand. Like, I need that interaction. I need that. That's what makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what are the things that if I'm not getting my needs met, you know, my mind will start to wander. I will start to feel less connected. You know what I mean? So, I think it's super important that you just talk through it and see like what are the things that you can do to that doesn't necessarily involve his penis, because not the world doesn't center around man's penis all the time, right?
Okay, you heard it here. You heard it here. You heard it here, folks.
When women
Um,
get pleasure, it can be it's almost revolutionary in this sense. Like your days are better. You probably get what you want when you can satisfy, when you can give women orgasms, honestly. You know, and not only is it healthy, but it's good for you in general, and probably really good for your relationship.
yeah. Um, some more comments coming in. Again, it looks like I got some great co-hosts today, multiple. Felicia says, love the candor. How about taking on an additional lover? She said, yes. Yes to you, but I'm not sure about how that partner gonna feel about it. But
You might
who
feel some
knows?
type of way, but maybe it might help them step up their game. It might help them like figure out, because sometimes it might be a testosterone problem, right? Like their testosterone might be a little low, so maybe they need to go to the doctor and see what's going on with that. Sometimes there's around maybe sexual expectations or stress. Like sometimes there are things that are affecting men that we may not know about. They might keep inside because of the socialization. So, being upfront about it and being like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I need your help, so what can we do because I need to be satisfied. I'm not happy.
Yeah. And I mean, you are a sexologist and you help singles and couples. So I'm sure you've had some clients come in with these kind of issues. And,
Mhm.
What were some of your recommendations for them? Like if it were a testosterone issue and so on.
So of course, going to the doctor and
Right.
getting put on some testosterone to help with their levels. We unfortunately, we have lots of what we call xenoestrogens in the air. And this is sort of happening with it's sort of the feminization. So that's why there's a lot of breast cancer. That's why there's a lot because of that pumping of estrogen. So getting, testosterone, eating testosterone boosting foods. So especially like even if you are a woman, you still need your testosterone levels up. So, eating testosterone boosting foods will help you. Um, Exercise, things like that to help get your energy up and get your blood flowing are really great ways to help your libido.
Awesome. This is just such good stuff. I'm still over here sweating, but it's so good. So I'm gonna go back to the question I asked earlier that you even put out to social media, Marla. It was what travel destination is the sexiest to you? And some people actually did weigh in. So I want to show those responses, which I get was Bella says Santorini, Greece. Ooh, it just
Ooh, I've
sounds
never been
sexy.
there.
Yes, I haven't been to Greece yet, so I'm gonna be looking forward to a trip at some point soon. And somebody else said a place. Let me go back here because I remember seeing it. But in the meantime, if
I see
anybody else, you see it?
Barcelona. In the comments.
Oh, am I skipping over it?
It's
Oh,
right
right
under Greece.
here. Shakila says the sexiest destination is Barcelona. Okay.
Mhm.
Both places I have not been to quite yet. And you know what? You actually posed another question on Instagram. And it
Mhm.
was who would be your ideal celebrity travel boo? Woo! Honey. Okay, so y'all, who's y'all ideal celebrity travel boo? Who was your travel boo, Marla?
So it's so funny because I just had a dream about Usher last night. So weird. I had a dream. I was in this. I'm like, where Usher? Like, I don't even think he's come out with any music lately. Like, I have no idea. But I was dreaming. I don't even know. I was at somewhere, some foreign land, and I was just flirting with Usher. And it's like he knew me, and we were just like chit chatting. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And then, for me, it's just like, ooh, like how far can I get, but I totally had my ideal celebrity travel boo. Right now, I have a crush on Lena Waithe. I think that she's my travel.
Oh,
She's my crush. So yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
My travel boo.
Mm-hmm.
And please, he's a married man. I apologize. But I still can see. We all can see. We all have eyes. And if there was ever a time, it would have to be Idris Elba. Woo,
Ooh, he's
woo.
sexy.
He is sexy. All he has to do is say one word.
Do you like his American accent, or are you talking about his
It, no,
British
I,
accent?
if he's gonna present his American accent, he just don't have to say nothing. But I could take it either way.
He's sexy.
Yes,
He's
yes.
sexy.
And
He's
when you
sexy.
hit,
He has like the air about him is
and
just
it's the
confident.
swag. It's the swag
Yeah, the
for me.
swag.
It's the swag for me. Um, Shakila says travelable Michael Ealy. Mm-hmm.
I saw him at a restaurant. Yeah.
Yes,
He's
yes.
also
It's
very sexy.
very,
Yeah.
very sexy.
Very
Anybody else
pretty.
have a sexy travel boo? Janelle says, that's mine, Idris Elba. Well, honey, no, we're not sharing. I'm not sharing. I was about to say it's not gonna be an additional partner situation here. It's not gonna
If Idris said, hey, my wife approved of you, Tamika, and Janelle, are you down? I mean, would you say no?
Janelle, no.
Like, no. Nah, sure.
I don't like to share. I don't like to share my food. So you think I'm gonna share my candy? And
that.
Janelle agrees. Now I wouldn't share. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Can you believe it's already been an hour, Marla? Just such great information. But before we go, do you have any new projects in the works that everyone watching can look out for?
Yes. I will be, of course, there's Sex Down South, which is my conference that happens every year, just
I have
past in
that. Okay.
September. Yeah, so Sex Down South is happening in September next year. And then I'm having like little virtual festivals throughout the year. So I had my first Dick Fest in June. So I'm doing Booty Fest in January. And I haven't thought about the name for, but a viewer of mine called it Coochie Con. So we might have a Coochie Con
Okay.
coming up soon. In addition, probably we'll have another Dick Fest again. But those are the virtual, weekends. And then, of course, I'll be putting out my Manifest and Mate program and retreat that will be happening. And I think that's pretty much it for now. Yeah, I'm kind of like laying low. I usually kind of lay low October and November. It's kind of my vacation months. I like to take all the vacations. And then December is when people start panicking about their sex life again. So then I gotta ramp back up, but for the new year. But that's pretty much it so far. But I did want to mention too, if you're thinking about like fantasies, like I was thinking
Yeah.
about like when you're out traveling and you're thinking about what kind of fantasy you want, there's a really really cool app. It's called it's called My Fantasy app, and it's sort of like a choose your own adventure. And it's really fun because you can like, I picked like a little kink scene, and it's like you can like dialogue through it. So I thought that was really fantastic. So that's something that just came to mind I was thinking about. But
That's a great idea. My Fantasy. Okay, she says once again, everyone, it's called My Fantasy. It's an app. That's My
yeah, it's an
Fantasy.
app. So if you go to
Okay,
your
cool.
app store and just look up My Fantasy, it should be there.
Oh,
Yeah.
spicy. Okay. So what's next for Velvet Lips? I know we have the quiz. I'm gonna put that back up. Velvet Lips sexed.com / quiz. So what's
Yes.
next for Velvet
So,
Lips Sex
well,
Ed?
first of all, if you haven't gotten my book yet, you need to. The Ultimate Guide to Seduction and Foreplay: Techniques and Strategies on Mind Blowing Sex, that Jess and I wrote. It came out last year. It's
Hold that
amazing. I'm
up. Hold that
super
up.
proud.
Yeah, hold that
I'm
up. Okay.
super proud of it. Uh it has the sex seduction and learning styles in here, as well as Jess's core erotic feeling and elevated erotic feeling, which are basically our sexual theories, and then like a ton of practice exercises. So if you are lost about like, what do I need to do for sex, or how do I need to approach, or whatever, like we have a ton. There are so many exercises you can do. We both put our heads in, and the sexual confidence or building up your sexual confidence is in here as well. So if you're having trouble on sexual confidence, the exercise is in here. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah.
Um, and definitely need to put that in for link everybody to the book for sure. Before you go, there's something else you posted on social media that I forgot, and you were saying that, or almost forgot. You were saying that you had some very wild stories to share.
Mm.
You care to share one or two before we go?
Absolutely. I have a really fun story. I went to hedonism, and
Let people know
I
what hedonism is,
yeah,
just in
so
case.
hedonism is a resort in Jamaica. It's an all-inclusive resort, but it's a swingers resort.
Okay.
And so people are very much out in the open. It's sort of it's it's a clothing optional resort. And so whenever I go to hedonism, I always have a blast. I always have a really great time. Well, there was one time I was just, drinking, having a great time, and I hooked up with this guy, and we were like, I was like, let's go to the playroom. I want to check out the playroom. So we go into the playroom, and this was actually the very first time I put my finger in someone's butt, right? So we went in the playroom. We're having fun, and I put my finger in his butt, and it was amazing. And I had a great time, and he also had a great time. So much so that he waited for me at breakfast for like 2 hours. Like while I was sleeping, he was at breakfast waiting. Like, when is Marla gonna be? When is Marla gonna be back? Like, so that is sort of my funny story, but I had a great time with a casual hookup, and I don't like have that conversation ahead of time. Just don't be putting your fingers in people's booties. But I definitely did not do that. It was a while ago, so consent is a thing. Make sure you get that consent. But it was a surprise to him. He ended up loving it, thank goodness. But yeah, we really had a good time.
That is the story that's going to take us out. I don't think I can handle much more. I do want to ask maybe one more thing. Any final words of sexual healing advice?
Absolutely. One of the things that I think is just super important is just to be yourself, be authentic. But in order for you to be yourself, you have to know yourself. So ask yourself the hard questions, the what if questions. So understanding yourself, understanding your body so that you can relay that information to other people is so vital to you having a really amazing sex life, because really pinpointing that is going to help you not build resentment, for you to understand yourself, get the things that you need, communicate that, like all the things. So yes, be yourself, and share your stories, because people can learn from those stories. I think that's super important too.
Great advice. Great advice, Marla. This has been amazing. So I have your Instagram here. Is there any other places that people can follow you, or is this the best place that they can follow you and find out more about your book and everything else that's to come?
Yes, Instagram is probably the best. I have the same handle on Twitter, all the other platforms, what Twitter, Facebook, I think, Medium, TikTok. I think I haven't put any videos up on there yet, but Instagram is probably the best. But I have the same handle everywhere.
Okay, awesome. Well, I have something to share since we are up here enjoying these great conversation about sex, intimacy, romance. I am having a special giveaway. People who are viewing, people who are on social media. I mentioned this brand earlier today. It is Stuyvesant Champagne. Find out more on my Instagram page. Let me pull that up to see how possibly you can win a little something at ms_Tamika Jones. Find out more, you guys. But Marla, it has been so real. It has been.
You had so many rude awakenings, I think, today. You were like
Still over here. I'm sweating. Do you see the I am over
glistening and
here
glistening.
ready. Okay. I wasn't ready. Should have been ready, but I just wasn't ready. But I will say that there's so much great information you provided to help whether singles or couples get that spark in their sexual energy, either get it back or put it back out there. And if they want more information, they can see where they can follow you to get more if they need some help, whether it's couples or singles. But it's been so amazing. We appreciate you for joining us. This has been a very hot topic after dark. Cheers to Marla.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much, Tamika, for having me on. I appreciate it. And
I
I had a great
appreciate you.
time.
Oh my
Have me back
God.
anytime.
I already know people are gonna be like, so when is Marla coming back? We got some more questions. I've only taken up your time for almost an hour and 10 minutes, Marla. Oh, well, see, now they popping back in. Cheers. Everybody's saying cheers. Cheers. Yes, cheers. When we cheers, we're supposed to sit. I'm sorry. Now, again, everybody go check out my Instagram for more information about the giveaway. Also, don't forget, you know what I like to say when I end the show? Travel safely, live intentionally, and cherish every moment. What is that? That's TLC, everyone. Thank you so much, Marla. We love you. We thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful evening. We will see you soon.